Good Shabbos, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. We like to begin with a cleansing breath so we can let go of any of the aggravation of the past week. Wow. Let's take another cleansing breath. Very good. All right. Well, it's Shabbat and it's Passover. Thank you for coming early. We're going to have our Seder on Zoom at 6 o'clock for anybody who is going to be with us on Zoom later on. But right now, let us welcome Shabbat. Please turn to page 121. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu Lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Kiddush is on page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom tehila lemikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziyat mitzrayim Kivanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Amen. Page 124. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to younger straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. We continue with Lecha Dodi. Page 138. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikabela. 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 Shahamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, hishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad ul'shemo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'litila. Lecha dodi likrat kahala, pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kahala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela, בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמונה עם סגולה, בואי כלה, בואי כלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Let's turn to page 264 and rise for Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, Asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach sha'arim, uvidvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et ha'kochavim, b'mishmarotehem barakia kirtsono. Borei yom v'layla, kolel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, Umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzevaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch ata Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Page 266. In each age we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment we are addressed by the world. In each age, we are challenged by our ancient teaching. At each moment, we stand face to face with truth. In each age, we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment, the knowing heart is filled with wonder. In each age, the children of Torah become its builders and seek to set the world firm on a foundation of truth. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael, Shema, page 267. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Please be seated. Ve'ahavta, page 268. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meyodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele Asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shiftecha b'vetecha uvlechtecha v'aderech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yedecha v'hayu letotafot beinenecha Uktavtam al mezuzot betecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem. Page 269. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all. Grasp as imperfection and evil abound. Before our eyes, there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness. There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul. When will redemption come? When we grant everyone what we claim for ourselves. Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High. We learned, God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate this power that makes for freedom. Mi Chamocha, page 270. Yam bam 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 bibi bam ya ba 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 bim bam yam bam 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 bibi bam ya ba 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 bim bam ay 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 ya ba 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 bim bam ay 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 ya ba ba bim bam mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi kamocha ne'edar b'kodesh norat hilot o sefele norat hilot o sefele yam bam 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 bibi bam ya ba 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 bim bam yam bam 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 bibi bam ya ba 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 bim bam ay 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 ya ba 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 bim bam ay 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 ya ba ba bim bam. Let's continue together at the bottom of page 271. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. V'shamru, page 272. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-shabat la'asot et ha-shabat ledorotam berit olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-shabat la'asot et ha-shabat ledorotam berit olam. Beni uven b'nei Yisrael, ot hi leolam, v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-shabat, la'asot et ha-shabat, ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-shabat la'asot et ha-shabat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash shavat vayinafash v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-shabat la'asot et ha-shabat ledorotam berit olam. Let's rise now for Tefillah, page 273. Adonai sefatat yiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיח ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. Please be seated. We continue together on page 278. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Page 281. For the good in us which calls us to a better life, we give thanks. For the strength to improve the world with our hearts and our hands, we offer praise. For the desire in us which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful. For life and nature, harmony and beauty, for the hope of tomorrow, all praise to the source of being. For all these things, O Sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha ne'el lehodot. Shalom Rav, page 282. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol er uvachol sha'a bishlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Pause now for a moment of silent reflection. shalom bimromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. 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 Shabbat shalom. In an hour or so, most of us will sit down together with family and friends at the Seder, the timeless observance of the Exodus from Egypt. The silver will be polished, the crystal gleaming, the best china removed from the cupboard, or perhaps the Passover dishes themselves if your household changes dishes and utensils every year. The most wonderful food of all will be on the table, the delicacies we await every year, the chopped liver or the matzo ball soup, the knishes or the gefilte fish. The favorites will be prepared with the finest of ingredients and with an extra dose of love. The Seder is the time we wait patiently to eat, even though we're already seated at the table, as we hear the miraculous story of our exodus to freedom year after year, generation after generation. Isn't it nice how everyone's Seder table is a little different? Some families are more of the brisket variety rather than the chicken or turkey types, while some families like to have lamb at Passover to remember the story of the Paschal lamb. Some families are really big into the gefilte fish, while others prefer matzah farfel in their soup instead of the traditional matzah ball. Some Seders are short, others are agonizingly long, and some even take on a special theme, such as a Seder to remember those lost in the Holocaust, a Seder that focuses on social justice, or the Seder where we find an orange on the Seder plate to recognize that women make abundant strides for Judaism in places other than the kitchen. We abandoned our Maxwell House Haggadot years ago, but I'm sure there are more than a few still floating around a house or two in uptown Harrisburg. Each Haggadah is different because each Jew is different, and each one of us observes a special part of the Seder that we take as our own. Hearing Hadgadyah may be our favorite part, or perhaps searching for the Afikomen, or singing Dayenu. And then there are the things that we all enjoy at the Seder, no matter the meal, no matter the Haggadah at our place at the table. Breaking the matzah at the beginning of the Seder, the 4 questions, the 4 cups of wine, spilling the drops of wine to symbolize the 10 plagues, and the extra Kiddush cup at the table, waiting for Elijah. Elijah, the guest that's always invited but never shows up, the harbinger of the Messianic age, the prophet whose appearance is supposed to tell us that our wait is over, that the age of the Messiah has arrived. We leave that extra cup of wine for him, We even open the door for him, hoping and waiting, joining together in song in anticipation of his appearance. We hope, we wait, and Elijah never arrives. Do you ever wonder why Elijah has never shown up at your Seder? Perhaps it's because we invite him, but we really don't do anything to ensure his manifestation. After all, Elijah will only come if we bring about the Messianic age and if we do our part to make this Passover more meaningful than the last. Perhaps he never comes because he knows that there's never a change at our Seder table. Perhaps Elijah knows that the turkey is always dry at the Greensteins and that the Rosensteins will have that same salty gefilte fish, or that the Feldbergs have that familiar cannonball matzo ball soup. Perhaps Elijah knows our cooking better than we do. Perhaps Elijah knows our families better than we do. Or perhaps Elijah realizes that even we may decide to change an ingredient in the chopped liver one year, or add a little spice to the charoset the next, or take the plunge and cook the brisket a few minutes longer, our attitudes about the Seder itself never change at all. We still wait longingly for the liturgy to end. We wait impatiently for our grandparents to stop their endless singing. We wait forever for the Seder meal to begin. But we never really wait for Elijah to come. We may hope he comes, but we never work to make sure that he actually arrives. Now, it's not that we can't send a car service or Uber over to the airport to pick him up, or make sure that Uncle Sam leaves the house a little early to stop and bring him to be with the family. It takes a little more to cause Elijah to make an appearance, a little more than opening the door for him and leaving an extra place at the table. Some families will go one step further and leave a chair for Elijah, an empty chair at the table, a real place for him to sit and rest his weary bones, if he has any, a real reason for him to stop by and visit. Maybe this leaving an empty chair is a good idea, an idea that each one of us can use at our own Seder tables, and because each one of us has a meal with a different flavor and a Haggadah with a different flavor, perhaps the chair could be left open for different people and for different reasons. Some of us may leave an empty chair for those lost in the Holocaust, while others may leave an empty chair for those who died of cancer or heart disease, AIDS, or the COVID pandemic. Some may leave an empty chair for those who died because of the thoughtless actions of others, or an empty chair for those who died defending our freedom. And when we leave this empty chair, this place setting that won't have gefilte fish on it or catch a drop of spilled wine, this china plate that will go back into the cupboard unused or actually go into the dishwasher even though it was never soiled, the others assembled at the table will ask the host or the hostess, "Who is this set for?" Or, "Is someone else coming?" Or when it gets time to break the matzah at the beginning of the Seder, we'll look at each other and say, "Are we waiting for someone else?" As we gaze at the empty chair at the table, someone in the family might say, "Well, that chair belongs to someone who died in the Holocaust, or someone who died from AIDS, or the child who never had the chance to begin her life, or a beloved family member who recently passed away, or perhaps Elijah." That chair may really belong to Elijah. That chair belongs to the real reason we are joining together to remember the Exodus from Egypt, to remember that not everyone is free in our world, that some of us still awaken each morning enslaved, chained to a life of poverty or pain, or chained to the shattered dreams of an empty life. We still have a little time left to prepare for Passover. Let us all consider the idea of leaving an empty chair at the Seder table as a remembrance of those who are missing from our lives. And we should also consider inviting a stranger to the table, someone new to our community, someone who may not have family or friends with which to share a Seder. For the Seder is a time to reflect, a time to remember, and this year to say Shabbat Shalom and best wishes for a happy and healthy Passover. May we all be blessed with Shabbat joy and peace, and we say Amen. Let's take a moment and turn to page 371. We'll ask God's blessings on those in our community who are sick and in need of healing. Prayers are offered for the speedy recovery of Judith Weber, Lillian Goldberg, and chronic Doris Kessler, and anyone you may wish to name at this time. And we sing the Mishaberach prayer together. Mishaberach avotenu Mekor habracha le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach imotenu Mekor habracha la'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Baruch atah Adonai rofeh hacholim. May God bring healing to us all, and we say Amen. A few short announcements. Our Zoom congregational Seder will begin at 6 p.m. If you need the link, go to the temple website, www.ohevsholem.org. Click on the green box. It will give you all the information you need to know. There is no religious school this Sunday. It is Passover recess. And next Friday night at 6 p.m. will be Sisterhood Shabbat. So we invite everyone to come in person to welcome our sisterhood or to watch us on live stream. Okay, let's rise now as we continue with Aleinu on page 586. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו echad. Please remain standing as we prepare for the mourner's Kaddish. This Shabbat, we remember the yardsides of Simon Abraham, Dana Lynn Babinski, Benjamin Cantor, Hyman Cohen, Sarah Cooper, Bill Deasand, Warren Gitlin, Richard Goldsmith, Francis Goodman, Helene Gross, Martha Hurwitz, May Husick, David Kaufman, Joseph Kaufman, Charles Kibler, Sam Klotzman, David Lang, Judith Margolis, Peggy Rose, Dorothy Rosenbaum, Marilyn Roth, Tilly Scheinvold, Benjamin Strauss, Joshua Strauss, Helen Rose Uffberg, Harry A. Wagenheim, Helene Weed, Richard Yamin, Vivian Zelkind. For those that have been named, or for those you may name within your own hearts, we recite the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach cheruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon u'vyomechon, u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, b'galo v'zman kariv v'yimaru amen, yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach leolam omei amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yit hadar v'yitale v'yitalal, shemei kudsha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran b'yalma v'yimaru amen, yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen, oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all of us who mourn, and comfort to all who are bereaved, and we say, Amen. Our closing hymn will be Dayenu. I looked through Mishkan Tefillah. It's not in there. I don't know why. There are 100 hymns there that I've never heard of, but Dayenu is not in there. But I think we all know the words to the first couple of verses, and we certainly know the music. Conrad, you ready? Ilu Hotzianu, Hotzianu mi Mitzrayim, Hotzianu mi Mitzrayim, Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. Ilu Natan lanu et Torah, Natan lanu et Torah, Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. One more. Ilu Natan lanu et Shabbat, Natan lanu et Shabbat, Dayenu. Okay. Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. Why don't you take the hand or the arm of those who are near you, and I'll ask God's blessings on our congregational family. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, our God and God of our mothers and fathers, grant us a Shabbat filled with joy, with rest, and with peace. Amen. Chag Sameach and Shabbat Shalom. I'll see you in 15 minutes on Zoom. All right. All right, good shot.